everyone, welcome back to Heartland Farms. I'm just taking some scraps out and get going with our day. So, here, chick, 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 chick. Here they come. Chip's leading the way. Oh goodness. Toby, what are you doing? What are you doing? No, Toby, no! Bad kitty! I can't believe you did that, Toby! Why, Toby, why? Not on the plum tree, Toby. Toby. Lot to do today. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I need to do some weeding, but I've weeded just about every single day this week, and I've pulled at least one wheelbarrow of weeds out each time. It doesn't look like it's been weeded, but it has. So I'm kind of burned out from weeding. With that being said, I have a lot of food preserving to do. I think I'm gonna go inside and do some canning. I'm gonna bring you with me. All right, so we are inside in my kitchen. I am gonna walk you through the chaos that is my kitchen at this time, just so you kind of see what's going on. This is chaos for canning. It's been a lot worse, but we're just in the beginning still. So I'm gonna walk around the island here. Here are some green beans that we've picked throughout the week. As you can see, some of them are kind of getting bad that I'll have to pull out, and those are going to be chicken food, like this one. This one's kind of gross. The rest of these, what I'm going to do is like cut them up in tiny pieces, can them with some salt, and pressure can those. Here are 5 of our remaining 6 cabbages that we grew in our garden this year. This was our first year really successfully growing cabbages. We tried last year and they got eaten. It was kind of a sad day. So anyways, we're gonna end up turning one of these guys into sauerkraut. We're gonna get it fermenting today. This is zucchini. I'm gonna take 2 of these to make like a relish. Over here we have our fermenting foods. These are green beans that are gonna be ready here in a couple of days. We have their fermenting capsules on here. So you can tell like this one's kind of off angled. It's a little easier to see. So that means that there is fermentation going on. Inside here we have our weights that are pushing and holding the green beans down underneath the brine. This is the first time really trying these out. Not a super huge fan, but you know, they work in a pinch. These are some cherry tomatoes that just came from our garden. So I decided just kind of do some fermenting with them just to see how it goes. This will be ready here in a couple of days as well. The reason this doesn't have a cap on it is because the recipe called for just barely on. And so it kind of has that natural ferment. It's not like something has to be under lock like this one does. Here is our sauerkraut. We have a different fermenting capsule thing on here. The water on this side is kind of like, it's supposed to be even, but when you can tell it's fermenting, when it goes all the way, pushes through. And there are times you see bubbles coming through as well. This has a couple more weeks left to go, and then it's all done, but it's our first time doing sauerkraut, and it's really exciting. Personally, I enjoy these guys more. They're harder to clean than these are, but you can tell what's going on a little bit more. These are my primary canning tools. This goes inside the lid so I can easily pour content into the jars without making a super huge mess. And these things save my hands from being burned because I can pick up a jar and take it in and out. We tried 1 year without it and we were using tongs and it was horrible. This is for air bubbles, so you put this down to see like how much, like to try and get the air bubbles out so that your contents doesn't float. So this is what I pickled last night. I canned coleslaw, coleslaw, pickles, and then pickled onions. So these are currently waiting for the seals to finish adhering. So within 24 hours, I typically keep all of my stuff out. And the reason I do that is just to help make sure that the seals properly attach. A way to see it that the seals are not properly attached is just to kind of touch the tops right here. If you hear that noise, it means that it did not seal properly. I was kind of worried about this one because looking at the top, I didn't notice this at first, but I'm seeing that this is kind of eroded a bit. So I think I'm going to retire this lid. However, this is pickles and they will continue to pickle, so I can stick them in the fridge and we'll just eat them right away. Here is an example of not getting all the air bubbles out. If you look at the bottom here, there's quite a bit of space. I'm going to pull over this one. This one's a better example. So I did not properly get all the air bubbles out, and so all of this is kind of fluid to the top. After you fill your contents with water, you want to use that tool and push into it just to get all the air bubbles out. So this is my first year canning up green beans. I'm going to start off with using pints The reason I'm using pints is because I don't know how much green beans we're gonna go through that are canned. I have already pickled some green beans that are in our pantry, and I have a feeling we're gonna eat those more just because we like pickled things a little bit more. But I wanna make sure we can some regular old green beans as well. So I am using my regular mouth size pints. The reason I'm doing that is because I wanna save my wide mouth pints for pickling and fermenting, because I can use that weight in there. So what I'm gonna do is take over my giant thing of green beans. I'm gonna chop off both ends, put them in the compost to go to the chickens, and then chop them off in about 1-inch sizes. I'm gonna put them into these jars and fill up these jars. After that, I will put half a teaspoon into each one. The reason I'm doing half a teaspoon is because I was talking to my neighbor, and she does 1 teaspoon for a quart. So it takes 2 pints to go into a quart, so half a quart, I'm gonna use half a teaspoon. I don't know the ratio for a mega pint. When I find it out, I'll let you know. So far I have up to 3 pints. I have a few more that could possibly kind of fill another pint. So I'm gonna run out to the garden really quick to see if I can find any more. That was Zeb saying hello. 2 things we've grown really well this year: green beans and weeds. And I'm already finding a few. Like, we were just out here yesterday. Green beans are a magical food. The more you pick them, the more they grow. So if you're a new-time gardener and you're just like, I want something that's really easy, I recommend green beans. The trick with green beans is just staying up with them and making sure you keep picking them. What do you want, Toby? That's pretty. This is all I have so far, so I'm hoping for a few more. Alrighty, so I was managed to pull all of these off. It's not a lot, but I think it's gonna give me the rest of the pint, which is what I need. Okay, so we ended up with 4 pints. What I'm gonna do here is add kind of a healthy sized teaspoon into each of these. All right, and then I'm gonna top them off with just basic lukewarm water. Is that a good peach, June? No. Okay then. And this is where this thing comes in real handy. So I typically pour until I can see the water hits just the bottom of the black funnel. That kind of tells me how full to fill them. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take the bottom of this. Yeah. I'm gonna poke it through here. I'm gonna get all the air bubbles out. You see them kind of top rising. So June, can you do that for me, please? Get all the way to the bottom, baby girl.
Yeah, I have.
Can you help?
Yeah.
So we're gonna go like this.
Ooh,
you see the bubbles?
Yeah. Open. Mrs. Bubble right here.
This should feel pretty loose too, like you can almost put more in there when you're done. So here we put the canning lids on after we seal them down as tight as possible. So you can actually remove canning lids after the jars have been sealed, but in the sealing process, that's what holds them down. All right, so now I'm going to put the canning jars into the pressure canner, and then I'll get everything up to temp. I recommend using it from the plastic parts. The rubber will help you grip it pretty easy peasy. Alrighty, so while that is gaining up heat and cooking up pressure, what I had done is I chopped up a head of cabbage. So right here you see is 1 cabbage that we grew from our garden this year. I added 2 healthy sized tablespoons of salt. I mixed it all in together. So what I'm going to do is turn this into sauerkraut. This is the mason jar that I'm going to use to put all my sauerkraut in to do the fermentation in. The reason I'm using the brown mason jar is that this kind of dims the amount of light. I made the mistake of using the clear ones earlier for the green beans. So I didn't want to do that mistake again with the sauerkraut because I really love sauerkraut and I hate to lose a whole head of cabbage to a failed fermentation. So this thing is starting to boil. I'm starting to see the steam come out of the weight area. We're waiting for the Old Faithful part to pop up and stay up. And then we'll put the weight on. We'll go from there. As you can see here, this has popped up. So that is the vent right now. I think you have to let it vent for like 10 minutes. So I'm gonna set the timer. I right now have the oven on too, so it's gonna get very warm in here. So I'll let that vent clear out for about 10 minutes and then we're gonna add the weight. The weight is this little thing. It just pops right on top of there and it helps build pressure within the unit. As I'm packing in sauerkraut, I wanted to explain why I'm pressure canning the green beans. Typically, I would love to use the hot water bath. Hot water bath is very quick, it's very simple. I don't have to wait for the whole pot to heat up, and then on top of it, I don't have to wait an additional 10 minutes before I put the weight on, wait for the pressure to heat up, and then do 30 minutes from there, and then wait for the whole system to cool down. Water bath is a lot simpler. The reason though I'm doing the pressure canner is because for water bath items, you can only use foods with high acidity, meaning your pickles, your fruits, and I'm gonna also say tomatoes, even though that's a fruit. Somehow it made it on VeggieTales. Those items you can hot water bath because they have high acidity. With the pressure canner, that does everything else. That does your green beans, your broths, your canned meat. Honestly, the possibilities are limitless with a pressure canner. Timer just went off, and I'm trying to get it so you can see it steam. I'm gonna put this weight on top of that geyser, and it's very, very hot, so I'm using a hot pad. Here we go, we got it. If you look at the dial behind there, you can see that's already rising. We're gonna get this up to 10 pounds, and we're gonna keep it at that. So typically in traditional fermenting methods, you have a crock that you put your fermentation item into, and then you have like a pulverizer type of thing. I don't know the actual words, but you take that and you pulverize it. You really hammer it down in. And the reason you do that is just to kind of like, it really forces it all together, gets the air out, and you can get more into the unit too. As you can see, I don't have a crock, or I don't have like an actual pulverizer thing that can actually fit in there. So I'm making do with what I got. I'm using a tinted half-gallon mason jar and a kitchen spoon. So when you have fermenting, you put the weight on top to keep everything submerged underneath the water. We use glass weights from the Easy Weight Company. They are not a sponsor or anything like that. That's just the brand we use. If you have another brand you recommend, feel free to comment below. But we found these and these work beautifully. I really like the fact that they're glass. It's easy to clean. All right, so this is the pressure gauge that I'm gonna be using. When it ferments, the little plastic thing you see in there pops off. Well, not literally, but it kind of goes off perfect like you saw earlier. I'm not a huge fan of these. Again, I prefer the other ones because I can actually see a bubble. But Cody's going to do some fermenting of his own, so I'm resigned to use these. These go right into, oh no. So I put this into a wide mouth lid, screwed it on, and we're just going to set it aside and walk away. So we hit the timer on the buzz. So unfortunately my gauge got very, very fogged up. I don't think I did the seal quite right. I was in a hurry, and so that really I had a hard time maintaining heat because I didn't do that seal quite right. So one thing you'll notice over here is that this little geyser mount is down. So this thing takes it was probably close to an hour to cool down, and I did not touch it because I don't want to get burned and I want to risk the jars inside cracking. So I wait until that part has fallen down naturally. When that falls down naturally, then I take off the weight. So I'm going to reach in. This is all very hot. So use pads, use hot gloves. Canning is fun, but it's not fun when you're burned. So these handles are very, very hot. So I'm not going to reach in there with my bare hands. I am going to use this tool. This is going to reach in there and grab things for me. The steam is very hot, so please use caution. There's one. Oh, looks like we didn't quite get all the bubbles out. And the last one. Whoop. All right, and so that's it. That wraps that up. I didn't get everything I wanted done today, but I did get a thing of sauerkraut going, and I did can some green beans, and I had to take an unexpected trip to the garden. Now it's just cleaning up.